Hi guys! I just recently received my first ever A6 English planner from Hobonichi and I wanted to do a walkthrough of it with you. Occasionally I'll compare some of the features with the Japanese A6 just in case you're more familiar with that version and are wondering what the differences are. So the English planner has a black faux leathery looking cover. It's actually a cardstock, but you can see it's very textured. It has this nice grained look to it, and it looks quite different from the Japanese A6, which, like the cousin, has this creamy cardstock cover that's smooth to the touch. The version that I got is the Steiff version, which was done in collaboration with a German toy company called Steiff, and you can see their logo on the back. These are the only two differences between this and the standard English planner. The English planner has the logo of the company Arts and Sciences that designed the English planner. The pages are rounded, as is usual for Hobonichi, and you can see that the paper is quite white, like the original and the cousin, and unlike the weeks. So this is what it looks like on the front, and then this is what it looks like on the side. I really like this. It says Hobo at the top in gold, and then it says 2019. It's got the year on it, as opposed to the original, which has a blank spine. And then on the back it just has this Steiff logo. When you open it, it has grey end pages, which is another difference from the original. And after the end page, you have this title page that says Hobonichi Techo 2019 Planner. And then it goes straight into the yearly calendar. So you've got one page for the current year, 2019, and then one page for the upcoming year. Monday start. The English planner only comes in a Monday start, whereas with the original you can get a Sunday start or a Monday start. Sundays are in red, and this is a little bit different from the original as well because that has 3 years: the previous year, the current year, and the upcoming year. I quite like this layout because it's very neat and streamlined, and just having the 2 years both are the same size, and I think that's really nice. Also, I personally very rarely or never consult the previous year in my Hobonichi, so I don't miss not having it in this one. Then you have a vertical yearly calendar, which gives you an extra month at the beginning. It starts with December 2018, and then it goes all the way until March 2020, so it gives you an extra 3 months for forward planning at the end. As usual, Sundays are in red, and it just gives you 1 line per day, and you have 2 lines at the top here that you can write notes on. So this is gridded, as you can see, and the grid size in the English planner is a little bit bigger than in the original and the cousin. So the original and the cousin are 3.7 millimeters, whereas in the English planner it's 4 millimeters, which apparently they decided because they thought that it would be more appropriate for writing in all kinds of different languages. So I really like this feature because you can use it for all kinds of different things. Either you can use it for a bird's eye view of your forward planning, so you can just see at a glance what your month will be like, or you can use it as a tracker. So this is great because it's got quite a few boxes, so you could write a little code here for what you're going to be tracking at the top, and then you can just use different symbols or different colors for each thing that you're going to be tracking. So I really like this feature. And then we go into the month on 2 pages. So this looks really crisp and minimalist, which I like. Somehow I think compared to the Japanese version, because it's only got 1 language, it looks just that little bit more minimalist, and that really appeals to me. So you've got the month number at the top, and then the name of the month and the year, and it's a Monday start. And you've got the days that don't belong to the current month in grey. And you have obviously 1 box per day, but if you have a month that starts on a Sunday, say, or a Saturday, and you have an extra line at the bottom, then that will be a half box. You have this little column here on the left for notes. It lists the week number here, and then you've got some more space at the bottom right for notes as well. So this is a very similar layout to the Japanese version, as you can see here. But the English version is a little bit more minimalist in terms of the colors. So you can see here that in the Japanese version you've got Saturday and Sunday highlighted at the top here, whereas this isn't. So I think that this one just looks a little bit somehow like cleaner and more streamlined, even though the Japanese version is already quite streamlined. You can see here as well there's a little splash of color at the top that you don't have in the English version. So it's quite a different aesthetic, and I really like them both. But I like the English one more than I was expecting to. So that carries on until March of 2020. So again, you get an extra 3 months for forward planning. And the months of 2020 are marked with this big gray 2020 here, just so that you don't mix them up with the equivalent month in 2019, which I think is a nice feature because that is quite easily done. So you've got 2 February, so you can easily see which one is 2020. Then after this, we get a blank 2-page spread that says turning the page to a new year, and it's just plain gridded paper, which I think I would probably use for further forward planning for the following year. So they give you these 3 months, but I quite often end up having to plan things, you know, further into the next year. And this is actually what I do in my cousin. I just take these blank pages and make them into a, kind of like a future log in a bullet journal. Then you get this spread that says coming up, and then it lists the month name, January. And instead of gridded lines, you get blank lines, which are bigger than the normal grid. So you can actually, if you wanted to, you can see through to the grid on the previous page, and so you can ignore these lines quite easily if you want to make more notes or write something smaller. But this can be quite good for either something like upcoming events that you're expecting to happen during the month, or things that you want to focus on for the month, or a running to-do list for the month. It's a really convenient page. And it's interesting to me that they've decided to keep this in the English planner, because apparently in the 2019 original and cousin versions, they have got rid of these lines, and this is just a blank page. So I actually like having the lines, so I think it's nice that they've kept it in the English version. And then we move on to the daily pages. So like the original A6, the English planner doesn't have a weekly spread. It just has the monthlies and the dailies. And so you can see here that the daily spreads are all black and white, except for Sundays, which are kind of orangey red. And this is a big difference from the Japanese versions, because in the Japanese planner, every month has a different color scheme, and the grid lines and all of the writing are in that color scheme. And that's actually something that I've always really liked about Hobonichi, and something that has kind of put me off ever getting the English planner, because I didn't like how plain it was. The reason that I decided to get the English planner this year is because I want to use it as a coloring book. So these dotted grids are just perfect for coloring in geometric shapes. And I decided to get the English planner because it's a lot crisper and more streamlined, and I actually wanted it to be sort of more monochromatic than the Japanese version. But now that it's here, I really like the aesthetic a lot more than I was expecting to. It's very different from the Japanese version, but as I said, I like both of them. So the Japanese version has a 24-hour timeline running along here in 3-hour increments, whereas in the English version you just have a 12 here for midday, and then you have this little fork and knife symbol for dinner. And I like that because it means that if you want to ignore the timeline, it's much easier to do that. You have the date in very big writing at the top here, and then you have the day of the week, the name of the month and the week number, the cycle of the moon, and the day of the year that it is. So it starts with 001, and then you can see it goes all the way through the year telling you what day it is, which I think is nice. And this is all very, very clean and streamlined. And this is another difference from the Japanese version, which has these check boxes at the top, and the grid continues at the top here, and then you've got this information in a little box. So it actually gives you a very different feel. I think that this is a lot cleaner and more simplified than this one when you look at it, even though I've always felt that this is quite simplified as it is. There's just something very crisp about it. And then you've got this perfect square here with the dot grid and the little monthly tab on the side here. And then you've got a quote and a monthly calendar with the day circled. Obviously Monday start as usual. So an interesting thing about the quotes here is that, having always used the Japanese planners, and I can't really read Japanese except for the kana, but basically the quotes are kind of more or less closed off to me, so I've just always ignored them. And this is something I was looking forward to when I got the English planner, was getting to read the quotes. And I really like the quotes. I flipped through them, and they're just a kind of diverse range of, like kind of, some of them are funny, some of them are just a little bit bizarre, and you read them and you're like, what? Some of them are insightful, and they're very quirky. And I really like this because if you compare them to the quotes in other popular English language planners like Erin Condren and the Happy Planner, which are all like kind of, really peppy motivational quotes like, she believed she could, so she did. I like these a lot better because they're just like kind of much more random and odd. So, like, for example, you can get quotes that are a whole paragraph. So that I really like. And often they kind of feel like a Hobonichi inside joke because they're quotes from, say, Shigesato Itoi, the head of Hobonichi, or from designers who work at Hobonichi, or from the artists that they've done collaborations with for covers. So it just kind of feels like you're in this little Hobonichi universe, which obviously as a Hobonichi addict I think is awesome. And sometimes they can be really inspiring. Like this one from the 31st of December is by Shigesato Itoi. And he says, when I can't organize my thoughts, I write down every little thing racing through my head. I don't remember when I came up with this idea. So I think that's just a really nice thought for a planner addict, because we can all relate to that. And it's just, kind of cool to have all of these little insights. So I really enjoy the quotes in the English planner. And it just carries on like this, 1 day per page, with the little dashboard at the beginning of every month. And it goes until the 31st of December. So as I mentioned, in the vertical spreads and the month on 2 page spreads, you get some forward planning. But with the daily spreads, it just starts at the beginning of the year and ends at the end of the year. So that's it. And when that finishes, there's a feature that was surprising to me coming from the Japanese planners, which is that you get 6 sheets of red dot grid pages. So this is quite different from the Japanese planner, where you get some plain, the kind of standard Hobonichi grid pages. So I think that's an interesting feature. And then the stuff at the back of the book is also kind of cool if you can't read Japanese. So first of all, you have important contacts, and it's got a page with a name, cell phone, and email. And then it's got some international information. So international size charts, a conversion table, which can be useful. This is the sort of stuff that kind of annoys me when it's at the beginning of a planner. Like in the Moleskine, there's a lot of information like this, which I kind of skip over, but having it at the back of the planner I think can be useful. And then it's got some interesting pages that give you information about aspects of Japanese culture. So this one has got traditional Japanese household items with really nice illustrations. And then the next page has Junishi, the Japanese zodiac, which I think is also really cool, because if you don't live in Japan or don't know a lot about Japan, it is interesting information. And then it's got another one called A World of Traditional Sweets, which I think is also cool. It just gives you this little bit of information about various desserts from different countries, again with nice little illustrations. And I think that it's just a cool feature because it's kind of fun and it's international, it's interesting for you know, readership in different countries. And so I think that's quite a nice touch. And then you've got international country codes, which can also be useful. And national holidays for a range of different countries, which again can be useful. And you know, it's kind of nice how this information at the back is very thoughtfully and clearly designed for an international audience. And then you've got this page with personal notes. Then you have your unique Hobonichi techo number, which is interesting because in the Japanese version it's a little stamp. I mean, it's like in the shape of a stamp, a circle, but this one is just a number. So I'm not sure why they've decided to do that differently. And then you've got the gray end page, and that's it. So that is the English planner from Hobonichi. So I am planning to use mine as a coloring book, as I mentioned, and so you know, I'll show you what that looks like as it develops. I'm really excited to start using it. So I hope that you found this useful if you were thinking about getting the English planner or were curious to see what it looked like. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back soon with another video. I've got a video of my Sneaker Weeks Mega coming up. So thanks very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye!